Welcome back to Reddit Talks. Our team carefully creates and hand edits every story to help improve your mindset through storytelling. All of our content is 100% original and human-led. Enjoy the video.
I paid for a 15-day luxury tour across Europe for my son and daughter-in-law, planning to go with them. But when I arrived to take them to the airport, my daughter-in-law smiled and said, "My mom is coming instead, not you, Dad." The moment I saw her suitcase by the door, I knew something was wrong. It was 4:47 a.m. on a Thursday in early June, and I was standing in the hallway of my son's apartment with 2 cups of Starbucks coffee and a bag of fresh croissants from the bakery that opened at 4 just for airport runs. I'd driven across town in the dark, my heart full of excitement for the trip I'd been planning for 18 months. 15 days, 5 countries, Paris, Vienna, Prague, Florence, Rome, 3 first-class train tickets, boutique hotels with Michelin star restaurants within walking distance, private tours of the Uffizi and the Vatican, wine tastings in Tuscany, every reservation made under my name, every charge on my Amex, every detail planned with the kind of care you reserve for once-in-a-lifetime memories. My son Marcus and his wife Sienna had been married for 2 years, and I wanted to do something special, not just for Marcus, but for them. To show Sienna that she wasn't just welcomed into our family, she was celebrated, that she mattered. When Sienna opened the door that morning, she looked flawless. Hair done, makeup perfect, designer luggage at her feet. She smiled at me, polite, distant, like I was a delivery driver. "Greg," she said, "you didn't have to bring coffee." "Of course I did," I said, stepping inside. "Big day. Where's Marcus?" "Getting his jacket," she replied. I set the coffee on the kitchen counter and looked around. 2 suitcases, not 3. "Where's your 3rd bag?" I asked. "I thought you were checking 2 and carrying 1. Sienna glanced toward the bedroom, then back at me. "We're only bringing 2, she said. Something about her tone, too casual, too rehearsed, made my stomach tighten. Marcus appeared from the hallway, pulling on a navy blazer. When he saw me, his face did something strange. Not quite guilt, not quite fear. Something in between. "Hey, Dad," he said. "Morning," I replied, forcing a smile. "Ready for the adventure?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at Sienna. She took a breath, smoothed her blouse, and said the sentence that would crack my world in half. "Greg, there's been a change of plans. My mother is coming instead. You're not going." The hallway went silent. I heard the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of a car starting outside, the blood rushing in my ears. "What?" I said quietly. Sienna's smile didn't falter. "My mom, Diane, she's been going through a really hard time," she explained, her voice measured and calm, like she was explaining a menu substitution at a restaurant. "Her book club fell apart. She's lonely, and she needs this more than you do. You travel all the time for work anyway, so we thought it was fair." Fair. I looked at Marcus. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Marcus," I said, "is this real?" He cleared his throat. "Dad, Diane really is struggling, and you do travel a lot. We thought you'd understand," Sienna finished. I stared at them both. 18 months of planning, $47,000 on my credit card, reservations made under my name, my email, my passport number on half the bookings, and they thought I'd just understand. My hands started shaking, so I gripped the coffee cup tighter to hide it. "When did you decide this?" I asked. "Last week," Sienna said breezily. "Diane mentioned she was feeling down and it just made sense." "Last week," I repeated. "And you're telling me now, at 5 in the morning, on departure day." "We didn't want to make it awkward," Marcus said quietly. Awkward. I felt heat crawl up the back of my neck. My jaw tightened. For a moment I couldn't speak because I didn't trust what would come out of my mouth. Then I made a choice. I set the coffee down on the counter. I picked up my keys. I looked at Sienna, then at my son, and I smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, just neutrally. "Have a wonderful trip," I said, and I walked out. I drove home in silence, didn't turn on the radio, didn't call anyone, just drove through the empty pre-dawn streets while my mind replayed the scene over and over. "My mom is coming instead. You're not going." By the time I pulled into my driveway, the sun was starting to rise, pale gold light spilling over the rooftops like the world didn't care that I'd just been erased from my own trip. Inside, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my phone. No calls, no texts, nothing. I opened my email and pulled up the travel folder I'd meticulously organized over the past year and a half. Every confirmation, every receipt, every itinerary. Hotel Marquis, Paris. Reservation for 3 guests. Primary, Gregory Brennan. Grand Hotel, Wien, Vienna. Suite reservation. Card holder, Gregory Brennan. Villa Toscana, Florence. Private villa rental. Contact, Gregory Brennan. Hotel Raphael, Rome. Deluxe suite. Payment, Amex ending in 4732. Everything was under my name. Every single thing. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes, and that's when the plan started to take shape. 18 months earlier, I'd been planning this trip since the week after Marcus and Sienna's wedding. It wasn't just about Europe, it was about family. My wife, Marcus's mother, had died 6 years earlier from ovarian cancer. The last trip we'd taken together had been to Montreal, and even then she'd been too sick to enjoy it. We'd spent most of the time in the hotel room while she rested. When she passed, I made myself a promise. I wouldn't let grief stop me from living. I'd honor her memory by creating new memories, by staying connected to the people who mattered. Marcus was all I had left. left. So when he got married, I wanted to do something big, something meaningful. I wanted Sienna to know that she wasn't replacing anyone. She was adding to our family, that I saw her, that I valued her. I started researching in secret. I read travel blogs, watched YouTube videos, consulted a travel agent named Patricia Lim, who specialized in European itineraries. She had 30 years of experience and had planned trips for celebrities, diplomats, executives. "What's your budget?" Patricia asked during our first meeting. "I want it to be perfect," I said. "So whatever it takes." She raised an eyebrow. "That's a dangerous answer, Gregory. Call me Greg," I said. "And I'm serious. My son just got married. I want this to be unforgettable." Over the next 3 months, Patricia and I built the trip piece by piece. First-class trains through the Alps, a private cooking class in Florence, VIP access to the Louvre, a sunset dinner cruise on the Seine. I didn't tell Marcus and Sienna right away. I wanted it to be a surprise. On their first anniversary, I invited them over for dinner. After dessert, I handed them a leather portfolio embossed with their initials. "What's this?" Marcus asked. "Open it," I said. Inside, a full itinerary. Maps, photos of the hotels, tickets. Sienna gasped. "Greg, this is incredible." Marcus looked up at me, his eyes shining. "Dad, this is too much." "It's not," I said. "You deserve it, both of you." Sienna stood up and hugged me, tight, genuine, warm. "Thank you," she whispered. In that moment, I thought I'd done it. I thought I'd bridged the gap. I thought I'd become the father-in-law she could trust. I was wrong. Over the next year, I noticed small things. Sienna started calling me Greg instead of Dad, which I'd encouraged her to use if she was comfortable. She stopped coming to Sunday dinners as often. When she did come, she spent most of the time on her phone. Marcus made excuses. "She's stressed from work. She's not feeling well. She's just introverted, Dad. Don't take it personally." I didn't take it personally. I took it as a challenge. I tried harder. I asked about her job. I remembered her favorite wine. I sent her flowers on her birthday with a card that said, "Welcome to the family. So glad you're here." She texted back, "Thanks, Greg." 2 words. But I told myself it was fine. Some people take longer to warm up. Some people show love differently. I kept planning the trip. I kept refining details. I kept believing that 3 weeks in Europe would be the thing that finally made us feel like a real family. And then, 2 months before departure, something shifted. Sienna started making comments, little digs, casual cruelty wrapped in humor. "Greg, you know you don't have to come on every trip, right? Marcus and I are married now. We can handle things." Or, "It's so sweet that you're so involved. Most dads would have backed off by now." Or my personal favorite, "Don't you think 3 people is a weird number for a vacation? Isn't that like a third wheel situation?" Each time, Marcus would laugh uncomfortably and change the subject. I told myself she was joking. I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself a lot of things that weren't true. 3 weeks before departure, Sienna's mother, Diane, came to visit. I met her exactly once at the wedding. She was polite but cold, the kind of woman who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. She spent most of the reception complaining about the seating arrangements and the food. During her visit, I invited Marcus and Sienna over for dinner. Diane came too. She spent the entire evening talking about herself, her divorce, her book club drama, her new therapist, her colonoscopy. At one point, she looked at me and said, "You know, Gregory, you're very lucky to have a son who still makes time for you. Most men Marcus's age would have moved on by now." I forced a smile. "I'm grateful every day," I said. After they left, I stood at the sink washing dishes and felt something cold settle in my chest, a warning I couldn't name, but I ignored it because the trip was 2 weeks away and I'd already committed $47,000 to making it perfect. The morning I showed up at their apartment with coffee, the morning Sienna told me I wasn't going, I drove home and sat at my kitchen table for 3 hours. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just sat. And then I opened my laptop. I logged into my email and started going through every reservation. Paris, primary guest, Gregory Brennan. Vienna, card holder, Gregory Brennan. Florence, contact name, Gregory Brennan. Rome, suite reserved under, Gregory Brennan, Amex 4732. I opened a new tab and searched, "Can I cancel a hotel reservation if I'm the primary guest?" The answer, "It depends on the cancellation policy and whether your name is on the booking." I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for boundaries. I picked up my phone and called the Hotel Marquis in Paris. A woman answered in flawless English with a French accent. "Bonjour, Hotel Marquis. How may I assist you?" "Hi," I said. "My name is Gregory Brennan. I have a reservation starting June 10th. I need to make some changes." I didn't cancel the entire trip. That would have been cruel, and despite everything, Marcus was still my son. But I made adjustments. Paris. I changed the reservation from 3 guests to 2. Marcus Brennan and Gregory Brennan. Diane was removed from the system. The front desk noted that no additional guests were authorized. Vienna. I downgraded the suite to a standard double room. The original suite, prepaid and non-refundable, remained under my name, but I kept it for myself. Prague. I canceled the private beer tour for 3 and booked a father-son experience instead, a historical walking tour with a guide named Viktor Cermak, a retired history professor with 40 years of experience. Florence. I kept the villa but adjusted the access codes. Only 2 people would receive entry instructions. Rome. The crown jewel, the deluxe suite at Hotel Raphael with a terrace overlooking the the Piazza Navona. I kept it exactly as planned, but only for 2. I saved every confirmation email, every revision receipt, every note. Then I called Patricia Lim. "Greg," she said warmly, "everything set for next week?" "There's been a change," I said. "I need your help with something." I explained the situation, calmly, factually. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Greg," Patricia said carefully, "are you sure you want to do this?" "I'm not canceling," I said. "I'm enforcing boundaries." Another pause. "Okay," she said. "Let's make sure everything is ironclad." Marcus texted me that afternoon. "Hey Dad, I know this morning was weird. Sienna feels bad. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I typed back, "Have a great trip. We'll talk when you get back." "Dad, come on. Enjoy Europe, Marcus. You've earned it." He didn't respond after that. Over the next week, I watched their Instagram stories. Diane posing at the airport in a sun hat, Sienna holding champagne in the Air France lounge, Marcus smiling stiffly beside them. Every photo felt like a knife twisting, but I didn't break. I waited, because I knew what was coming. On day 6, somewhere between Vienna and Prague, Marcus called. I let it go to voicemail. "Dad, we're having some issues with the hotel in Prague. They're saying the reservation is only for 2 people. Can you call them and fix it? Thanks." I deleted the message. The next day, another call, another voicemail. "Dad, seriously, we need your help. Diane is really upset. Please call me back." I listened to it twice, then I deleted it. On day 10, I booked my own flight. Destination, Rome. I used miles, packed a single carry-on, left my house at 6 a.m. and didn't tell anyone where I was going. I arrived at Hotel Raphael 2 hours before they did. The lobby of Hotel Raphael was everything the photos promised. Marble floors, Renaissance paintings, soft lighting that made everything look like a dream. I checked in under my own name. "Benvenuto, Signor Brennan," the receptionist said with a warm smile. "Your suite is ready." "Thank you," I said. "I'm expecting 2 other guests later today, Marcus Brennan and Sienna Brennan. They're not authorized to access my suite, but they should have their own reservation." She checked the system. Her smile faltered. "I see a reservation for 2 guests under Marcus Brennan," she said carefully. "But it's for a standard room, not the suite." "That's correct," I said. She nodded slowly, understanding flickering in her eyes. I took my key and went upstairs. The suite was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a terrace overlooking the Piazza Navona, a bottle of Prosecco chilling on the table. I poured myself a glass and sat on the terrace, watching the city move below me, and I waited. At 4:13 p.m., I heard voices in the lobby. I took the elevator down. When the doors opened, I saw them immediately. Marcus, Sienna, Diane. They were standing at the front desk, luggage piled around them, looking exhausted and irritated. The receptionist was speaking calmly. "The reservation is for 2 guests, Marcus Brennan and Gregory Brennan. I cannot add a 3rd guest without authorization from the primary cardholder." Diane's voice rose. "This is ridiculous. We've been traveling for 10 days. We're exhausted. Just give us the room." "I'm very sorry, Signora, but..." That's when Marcus saw me. I was standing near a marble column, hands in my pockets, perfectly calm. His face went white. "Dad?" he said. I walked over slowly. Sienna's mouth fell open. "Greg, what are you doing here?" I looked at her the same way she'd looked at me that morning in their apartment. Polite, distant, like she was a stranger. "I'm here for my trip," I said. "The reckoning." Sienna recovered first. "This is insane," she said. "You can't just what?" I interrupted calmly. "Show up to the trip I paid for?" Marcus stepped forward. "Dad, please, we're all tired. Can we just talk about this upstairs?" "There is no upstairs for Diane," I said. "The reservation is for 2 people, you and me." Diane's face flushed. "This is childish," she hissed. "You're punishing your own son because your feelings got hurt?" I turned to her slowly. "Diane," I said, "this has nothing to do with you. But since you brought it up, yes, my feelings were hurt. And no, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm enforcing the boundaries that were crossed when I was uninvited from my own trip." Sienna's voice turned sharp. "You're being petty, Greg. We thought you'd understand." "Understand what?" I said. "That I'm disposable? That my money is welcome but I'm not?" Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I pulled a folder from my jacket and handed it to Marcus. Inside, printed confirmations. Every change I'd made, every email, every revision. "I didn't cancel the trip," I said, "but I did make some adjustments." Marcus flipped through the pages, his face growing paler with each one. "Dad, you're still going to Florence tomorrow," I said. "You still have a reservation, but it's for 2 people. You'll need to decide who that is." I looked at Sienna, and for the record, I don't travel all the time. I take 2 work trips a year. I've been to Europe once, 15 years ago with Marcus's mother. This trip wasn't about me seeing the world. It was about us being a family. Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to say no to her." "Then learn," I said quietly. I turned to the receptionist. "Can you help them book another room? On their own card?" "Of course, Signor," she said. I looked at Marcus one last time. "I'll be at dinner tonight, Trattoria de Enzo, 7 p.m. If you want to join me, just you're welcome." Then I walked to the elevator and didn't look back. The conversation. Marcus showed up at 7:03 p.m., alone. He looked exhausted. His eyes were red. His hands shook slightly as he pulled out the chair across from me. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi," I replied. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Marcus broke. "I'm so sorry, Dad," he said, his voice cracking. "I should have told you. I should should have stood up for you. I didn't want to make Sienna upset, and she was so insistent that Diane needed this, and I thought maybe you wouldn't mind because you're so easygoing and— Marcus, I said gently. Stop. He closed his eyes. I love you, I said, but you hurt me. Badly. I know. And you let Sienna and Diane treat me like I didn't matter. I know, he whispered. So here's what's going to happen, I said. We're going to finish this trip, you and me. We're going to see Florence and Rome the way I planned. And when we get home, you're going to have a very honest conversation with Sienna about respect and boundaries. Marcus nodded. And if you can't have that conversation, I continued, then you need to understand that our relationship is going to change, because I won't let myself be treated this way again. Not by anyone. He wiped his eyes. I understand, he said. We ordered dinner. We talked, really talked, about his mother, about grief, about the pressure he felt to keep everyone happy. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I had my son back. Epilogue. Sienna and Diane flew home early. Marcus stayed. We spent 3 days in Florence and 4 in Rome. We toured the Colosseum, ate at cacio e pepe and tiny trattorias, drank wine on terraces at sunset. It wasn't the trip I'd originally planned. It was better. When we got home, Marcus sat Sienna down and told her the truth, that he'd been wrong, that I deserved an apology, and that things needed to change. She apologized, eventually. Whether she meant it, I still don't know, but I do know this. I'm not the same man I was before that trip. I don't apologize for taking up space anymore. I don't shrink myself to make others comfortable. And I don't let anyone, family or not, mistake my kindness for weakness. Because the truth is, love without boundaries isn't love. It's just exhaustion wearing a smile. If you made it this far, thank you. And if you've ever been made to feel disposable by the people you love most, I see you. Set the boundary. Enforce it. You're worth it.